So yeah, we saw the new Spider-Man there, the Asteroid City,
That
Beau
looks
is
cool.
Afraid, the Fablemans showing
going
up.
to town.
We had seen
Showing
Licorice
up.
Pizza.
I don't think I know that one.
That
was the
previous
one.
animated Spider-Man was pretty good. So if it's just
Yeah, I
like a
love
sequel
that
to that,
one.
then I'd be down to watch that too.
Lauren and I, again, have differing opinions because she is a visual audio artist and I am an audio artist. And like this one was way more like intricate in the audio or the visual art aspect of it. And I think it, to its detriment, like used a lot less of audio. Like it still had like audio cues and sound effects that were really good and intricate, but like the soundtrack was one of my favorite parts of the first movie, and it didn't really have that in this one. And I was like, well, this is less effective for me than still good. I enjoyed it a lot, but
Yeah,
but everything's a fucking franchise.
everything.
For real. Yeah. If it's not yet, you got to figure out a way to make it one.
That's right.
Yep.
It's a bummer. It's the way of the world, baby.
Let's do a podcast.
Let's talk about Street Fighter
Yes, sir.
6.
Yeah, let's talk
Yes,
about
sir. I'm pretty
jury.
pumped to hear about this.
Let's
I'm pretty
talk
pumped to hear
about
about this.
all of my girlfriends and boyfriends. How's Cody? Is he still president or mayor or whatever? Well, we need to save it for the cast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pursuing Pixels. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with John Hines
Hey there.
and Randall Nolery.
Hey, folks.
And we are back, as always, to talk about some video games. We kind of got some stuff all over the map this week, I feel. Some retreading some ground on the back half of the episode here, talking some more Zelda. But before we get to that, why don't I toss it over to you, Randall? What have you been playing? Playing the newest game out of all of us. Although I take that back. I've been playing a new game myself.
Ooh, there you go.
But yeah, what have you been playing lately?
Yeah, so Street Fighter 6.
Yes.
You know, and I've talked. Have I talked about Street Fighter on the podcast before? I've talked.
It's definitely come up in passing. I don't know if we've done dig into 5 or anything like that, but yeah.
I know, like 5, and I just missed 5. Because I had a PS4. I sold my PS4 Pro because it sounded like a vacuum. So I never got the opportunity to play 5. And like, I'm a fighting game fan, but I'm not like diehard, you know, like a lot of the fighting game community, like they are fighting game people first and foremost. Like my buddy Steve is that way. Like he is, you know, he likes his Elden Ring and, you know, Dark Souls and all that, but ultimately he's a fighting game person. And, you know, has been since 2, you know, especially 3. And that's where a lot of my Street Fighter affinity came from, is playing Street Fighter 3 Third Strike with him and our buddy Chris and other people kind of through the years. And, you know, John, I know you're a big fan of 4. I am too.
Yes, sir.
4 is very
interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely coming from the 2 background. Like I played a lot of Street Fighter 2 Turbo on Super Nintendo was the one I had growing up. 3 looked like I've had all the various collections over the years and just kind of dabbled in them all, but 2 was the main one for me. But like for me, whenever I play a fighting game, I'm like, oh yes, it has like Street Fighter style combos. Like those are the ones that just kind of click with me, just because that's what I grew up with.
And weirdly enough, like I guess not weirdly, I had a Sega Genesis, but I was more of a Mortal Kombat guy during those days, as every kid of a certain age range was, you know, Mortal Kombat.
Especially if you had a
2.
Genesis. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The blood. Yeah. The fatalities. The babalities.
It's uncensored on Genesis, man.
Friendship.
Yes, right. Friendship ruled. That was really good. Mortal Kombat's good, actually. It's not good gameplay, but it's...
Well, yeah.
Talk about nostalgia, for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes, looking back, it does not hold up. I have it on 32X. But anyway.
Yeah, yet it's still going. But
yes.
Street Fighter, I feel like, is the one that, like, for me, if I'm really want to play a good fighting game, I'm leaning towards that of the 2.
100%. And to your point about controls, I very much prefer the way that Street Fighter controls over Mortal Kombat. Just generally those kind of like quarter circle inputs. Or
like the hold back for 2 seconds, push forward, or like it's just like very intuitive. The full half circle, whatever.
Yes,
it all feels kind of natural.
Yep.
So are you playing with an arcade stick?
I am. I'm playing with my Xbox
I didn't even think
arcade
about
stick
that.
primarily, although I did also use a controller, but primarily the arcade stick because you have to, because it's the 6-button control scheme, right? Which I just love so much. You get the 3 punches and the 3 kicks, and actually the arcade stick, to map out all the buttons on a modern controller, actually has 4 top buttons and 4 bottom buttons. So to mimic, the triggers, the top shoulder buttons, and the
bumpers,
triggers,
and
right? So there's actually in Street Fighter 6, similar to 4 and beyond. This is where I'll say all this to say I'm not like super duper the Street Fighter expert. Bear with me.
This is not historical record.
We're fighting game enjoyers. I feel like it's safe to say we're all fighting game enjoyers, not necessarily fighting game like diehard fans. Because I'll play them and have fun, but if I'm playing with people who are actually like serious about fighting games, it's like you're playing a different game than me.
Yes. Yes, 100%. I'm going to get mopped. I try not to button mash, but still, I skew closer to filthy casual than hardcore player in regards to fighting games. Right? It's just fun for me. But yeah, like those extra buttons besides the 3 punches and 3 kicks are like, here's the button for if you were to press these 2 buttons together, it's just like an easy button to do, like you're eating, quote unquote, like the player's incoming attack and kind of punching through it, right? That in which they've kind of done from 4. I don't know about 5, but I'm assuming they carried that through, and that's there in 6, and it feels good. That's there. There's kind of 2 different ways about that. So in Street Fighter 3, the big thing I always loved about that was the parry system, just the ability to kind of absorb said attack. And if you perfectly timed your parry, you didn't even take damage. It's just like, nah, you're not hitting me right now. So there's kind of an equivalent-ish to that, where you're kind of holding this button and you kind of turn this like light blue color and you can absorb the attacks, and I think it builds your meter. Again, there's a lot going on,
Still learning the ropes and stuff,
But it feels real good. Oh man, This is a good Street Fighter. All that to say, 18 characters to start, which is a pretty small fighting game roster. But this is Capcom. They're gonna do waves of DLC. These first 18 characters, I kind of didn't mind that anyway, because it's a smaller pool to get used to all these characters. I've played through the arcade story, which is only 5 rounds, one of which is beat up the big dumb truck, Good. And I did that. You gotta have it, of course, and so I've done it about half the characters, I would say, but it's very enjoyable.
That's like a good amount of characters to kind of familiarize yourself, kind of figure out what kind of play styles you like to play with, and then maybe as they add more, you go, okay, I want to keep leaning into this style, or okay, I don't necessarily like these, I don't know, whatever type of character. I know there's all different types of characters. Like, how many carryovers are there from old games? Is it all all characters from previous entries, or
no? There's actually new stuff. Of the initial 18, there's 6 new characters, and to me, even more than that, because some of them were seemingly from 5 that I was not aware of. Like this character Luke, who's one of the main characters of 6, was a DLC character in 5, but I did not touch 5. So
yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, who is the most omission that for you personally in terms of a character that's not on the roster right now?
Akuma is my man. I'm big time Akuma. I love give me the evil, I shouldn't say give me the evil Ryu, because that's actually a character in and of itself.
Yeah, I know.
But I was literally going to say the same exact thing, so I know what you mean.
But it plays
kind of like
that
the souped up evil version of Ken and Ryu.
Yes,
for
sure. Who's risk reward to a T, just super aggressive, smash you for a lot, but goes down in a hurry too if you get stuck in the wrong side of a combo or whatever, a super move. But I've always been an Akuma fan since 3, and he's always been my main, and he's apparently going to be a DLC character in one of the future rounds, and I already bought the version of it that I think is going to give me that, I think. We'll see.
Yeah, whatever the
golden ticket version.
Yes. Yes, at least the first round of the pass. But yeah, it's got a lot of characters from previous games. I'm also a big like Zangief fan. I love just making big stupid circles to grab people and smash them for half their bar, and I'm just like just really twirling that arcade stick as fast as it'll go. Just to do the big smashes. So that's always fun for the grapplers. But yeah, lots of Street Fighter 2 characters, Cammy and Blanca and, Dalzim and E Honda and Ken and Ryu, obviously.
Okay, they definitely they got most of the classics there for sure. Although there's so many almost every character. In Street Fighter, pretty much. Like I could what about Vega? Oh, what about Balrog? What about whoever?
Neither one of those so far. I will say.
Sea Viper or Jury?
Not yet. Jury, yes. Sea Viper, no.
Good.
Sagat. Oh man, there's so many good characters.
No,
man,
not yet.
But a lot of potential.
Chun-Li?
Like again, if the
Chun-Li, yes.
Okay. They gotta have Chun-Li.
Yeah.
And this one is kind of going with a similar art style, like to 4 and 5, right? That kind of like cell shaded 3D but 2.5D kind of look.
Yeah, a little bit less cell shaded than 4, I would say, but I think it looks really good. It looks I don't know. I don't know what to say of like current gen or next gen. It looks like it's taking the full advantage of the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 consoles. It looks pretty good and beefy that way. And it plays just really smoothly. It's very, I guess I might even say I like to play it more than I like to play Third Strike, because I'm finding myself coming back to it on my own, which usually I'm just like, if there's a buddy that I could play with, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, we'll play Third Strike or whatever else. That's fine. But, how often am I just like loading it up to play the arcade mode by myself? Not that often. But with 6, I've been doing that, and maybe that's also because I have the arcade stick now, but it just feels great to play. And it's more.
Are there like unlockables or stuff for like doing arcade mode, or is it just pure like arcade
training essentially?
No, there's some like unlockable things seemingly happening for what I'm assuming is kind of the online mode, where like you kind of have your own like banner thing at the bottom, a la like Rocket League, I guess. It's that sort of idea. Like you can do your own like online presence customization stuff is there. It seems like there's other unlocks that Capcom pushes on a at least weekly basis for kind of how often I've been going in.
Jesus, man. Yeah. That's what I was like worried about.
The never-ending updates.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, this is another platform, and that, is carried through with the DLC of characters, let alone this other stuff. And there's a whole separate mode that I haven't even touched, which is like the real quote-unquote single-player mode. So I plan on coming back here with that, but I have to create a character first. So that's always been like do I want to create a character right now? I don't know. I have enough mental energy to see this.
But it's good that the like arcade mode is enough. Like, because honestly, that's really just what I want.
Sometimes that's all you want.
Yeah. From a Street Fighter game, I really just want something that I can play with a friend. Like, there's not. It's really not about, I don't know, I want this to be the only game I play I want to have enough content that like it will keep me engaged. It's like, no, like the content is just the gameplay. Like that's really it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And the gameplay is very well formed and very well developed, I'll say. It feels very nice to play.
And you're not having to like grind to unlock characters or anything like that. Like just straight from square one, you got everybody.
Yep.
Nice.
That's cool. Because, again, a lot of modern games do that, too. So it's nice to know, okay, you can just get the season pass or whatever it is, start from square one and say, okay, I'm just going to get everything as it rolls out. Don't have to think about, okay, that's $10. Do I want to buy that? Do I need this? I think
so. I that stuff is a little weird because, like, there's this store thing and it seems like there's other stuff I can get. And I don't know if, like, my pass didn't apply or if that's above and beyond the pass stuff. But it seems mostly, like, cosmetic. Like, I will say there's only one main quote-unquote costume per character, then one alternate so far that I can choose from, and I gotta believe that they're going to add more to that over time. And whether or not
back in the day it was like every button was a different palette or whatever for the character, yeah.
So, but then, that's just cosmetic. I'm not going to sweat that stuff too terribly most of the time.
Yeah, it's like nice if it's there, but it's not hindering the experience if it's not. So
Yeah, but I've been really into it. I plan on beating the main arcade mode, which I can do in, I don't know, 20 minutes tops, typically, probably not even.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because it's only 5 stages. And so I'm going to do that with all 18 characters, just because I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take it from
That's
there.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And even the fact that you care enough to want to play it through with 18 characters and like that they're all fun enough to play with. That's cool. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, they put the
you
time
got me
in. Yeah.
I've kind of just like, because I've bought so many fighting games over the years that I either just got my ass handed to me in, or even like Smash Brothers, just games that like didn't quite click with me and never found enough reasons to pop them in and boot them up. Like I bought Marvel vs. Capcom 3 back in the day, and it's like cool games, but like I never played them enough, so I just kind of stopped buying because they're expensive. You're buying a full AAA game plus season pass or DLC stuff. It's like it's not a $15 purchase that, okay, maybe if I literally play it one time and have fun, it's worth it,
Right. You kind of have to lean into that as your thing to some degree. With
exactly.
Some of those titles. And, maybe that'll be the case here too, but it's been, accessible enough to me as someone that has some familiarity enough to pull off most of the moves without looking at the, move list or whatever. I just start trying what I know to be the usual Street Fighter moves and like, oh, there's something.
Yeah,
there's something.
At least something works. Yep. Yeah.
It's been fun.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. You got me kind of a little tempted. I kind of forgot that even came out, and now I'm like, do I need to play the new Street Fighter now?
It's got crossplay too. Although I think it is just. Well, I guess I don't know. I think it is PS4 and PS5 along with.
I was gonna say I don't think it's on
Xbox
Switch
Series.
or anything like that.
No.
But yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. No.
They do have a Street Fighter 4 on 3DS, and I
forgot that was a launch title. I forgot about that.
Yeah. They had a 3D mode on that thing too, like a weird kind of first-person 3D mode. You remember that?
Yeah,
so weird, man.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about that. Wow, blast from the past.
I know.
Oh man,
it's a good game.
Well, yeah, I guess if you're good there, Randall, I'll jump into some of the stuff that I've been playing. I just got a couple games. I've been playing a ton of stuff lately. Been doing a bunch of streams and just kind of random picking up and playing. I've talked about a few things on some recent Save It for the Cast that I've been just picking up on my Switch, but I did have a couple games that I just wanted to kind of rapid fire. I played one literally right before we started recording tonight, I guess about an hour and a half before, but I was like, I got like 4 hours to kill before we record. I don't have anything really I need to get done. I've had some like job interviews and doing a bunch of applications during the week. So I'm like, I'm just going to play some games. And normally I like to have a little more time to stream, but I was like, why don't I just stream? So I was like, this game just came out a couple days ago. It's called Roto Force, and it was originally called Pixel Soldier. I think I might have even talked about this one on the podcast. It was originally made for a game jam at some point. It's kind of like a run and gun bullet hell twin stick shooter. But the whole concept of the game with the name Roto Force, you're kind of like rotating around. So if you press to the left, you're like characters running counterclockwise. If you press to the right, you're running clockwise. And you can really run around the entire arena. Like essentially your character actually stays at the bottom of the screen and the whole arena is rotating more than you are per se. But then there's just 2 buttons. There's a button for dashing and a button for firing. And so your dash can literally... You press a button, you kind of go into like a slow-mo mode, or at least your character starts moving in slow-mo, and then you get to aim with the movement stick. So that's where it gets a little tricky. You're aiming your dash with the left stick, but then it plays like a twin-stick shooter with your aim with the right stick. Like at first I was kind of wanting to I was thinking I was going to dash where in the direction that I was aiming my right stick with, but you more kind of have to like hold down the dash button, freeze for a second, and then aim it with your, the joystick you're running with, if that makes sense. But there's no jump or anything, so it's in that sense, it's not a traditional run and gun. You're just kind of stuck to the ground other than dashing, and then the dash works like a melee attack. Like there'll sometimes be enemies that kind of have like a bubble protection around them, so you have to like dash through that bubble to pop it, and then you can attack the enemy, or even like a heart pickup or like these secondary gems that let you like, if you hold down your dash for long enough, if you have one of those gems, like you either get them from picking them up independently, or if you're already at full health and then pick up another heart, you kind of fill up those as well, kind of downwell style. And the game itself has this really cool, like, it's not 1-bit because there's tons of colors going on, but this kind of like minimalistic pixel art aesthetic. And like every time you can change these in the settings, but I kept everything on default. And every time you take damage, like the palette shifts and changes, and every stage kind of has its own independent palette. And like, it's almost like kind of like a Mega Man game in one regard, because you do have like kind of like the stage select screen is just like Mega Man. There's like a gear in the middle, and then you can select like all the 8 stages around it. And then each one, you can play them in almost any order. I think you do have to beat like the first one, and then it unlocks a few more that you can play. But you have a little freedom to what stage you can pick. But then it's essentially like a boss rush game or like horde mode almost. Like there's a ton of checkpoints on any given stage. But like the first stage I beat in about 10 minutes. But the second stage, like I got kind of stuck on the boss. Or maybe it was the third stage. It took me almost like a half hour to beat. I beat almost 4 stages. I got to like it. Thankfully, it does save like. I made sure like it was actually pretty nice. It was pretty descriptive. Like it was like if you leave right now, like you'll be able to pick up right where you left off. Any unlocks. Like, again, every stage you play, you unlock a new weapon, and that's kind of my only gripe with the game so far. All the other weapons, other than like the machine gun that you start out with, have been weapons I haven't wanted to use. I'm just like you have to like the homing missiles. You have to like hold down and then release to let them start homing and. There's like a bomb grenade thing that you also have to like hold it down, charge it up, release it. Like the rapid fire is the only one that I've got so far where I can just hold it down and I'm just focused on dodging and that's kind of it. So I've been leaning kind of towards that, but every time you get to a checkpoint on a stage, if you have to actually like shoot the checkpoint and attack it, and then if you do enough damage to it, that unlocks the checkpoint, and then you can change your weapon if you want as you go. But like there's just like wave after wave of like really cool, unique enemies. Like, I don't know, everything's just so well thought out. Like almost everything that they threw at me, I was like, oh wait, that's how that works? Or, oh, that's kind of cool. Like there was this slime enemy that I was like, man, why? It was one of the boss battles of like the third stage I played. And I was like, why can I not do damage to this boss? I'm like watching the health meter and all the like UI and heads up display is so cool. Like just really like integrated into like the visual design of the game, I guess. But like, I'm like watching, I'm like, I'm doing no damage to this thing. And I was like, maybe it works Mega Man style and I got to like use my bombs or like use different weapons. But at first I thought I was onto something, but then I was like, no, this thing keeps having full health. Like, what am I doing wrong? And then I realized it like spits out all this slime. And then actually it does this like dash attack. And if it eats that slime, it recovers health. And like, I didn't really notice that until I started watching like right at the beginning of the battle. It kind of like eats this like handful of slime goop and you see all these like pluses kind of go around the boss, and I was like, oh, that's why I'm not doing any damage. Like it just keeps recovering health from the damage I'm doing. So
can you
it just like
the slime in that case?
I did. I did eventually beat the slime, and then I was playing the last stage I was playing was like an underwater stage, which was really cool because it was kind of like, and a lot of the stages too, they like turn like, so that slime stage, when I got that boss down to half health, it like then pops up out of the ground and eats you, and then you're like playing the second half of the boss battle inside of like the monster's like stomach, and the stomach is what you're rotating around. And then the last stage I played was like a beach, like sea kind of stage, and there's all these like crabs and like tons of cool enemies. And then like there was like this mini boss with a shark, and it was like eating the like parts of the stage that then turned to coral. So now those are like spikes that I can't touch. So like it's limiting where I can dash across the screen. It's like just every single thing in this game was just one surprise after another where I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. And like when you go underwater, like the water level kept raising on this one. So when you go underwater, the music gets all muffled and muted. And then when you pop out, like it's just so, in the way the enemies all like, some of them float on the surface, some of them can, just float around and fly. And it's just one cool idea after another. I know it's been in development for quite a while because I've been following the developer. Like I feel like since I started our Pursuing Pixels like social media accounts, I was like, oh, this Roto Force game looks awesome. Like, oh yeah. Even when I made, like I mentioned at the top, like when I made the video for the game, it was called Pixel Soldier at the time. So it was quite a while ago that I recorded the gameplay. But the stream today, I played about an hour of it, beat almost 4 stages, and it's everything I hoped it would be. Like, again, being a game that I was really anticipating, I was like, this is not missing anything. It's everything I wanted to be, other than, I guess I'm hoping that there'll maybe be some other weapons that I'll want to use beyond just like the rapid fire machine gun. But really cool, unbelievably stylish game, and it's awesome. Nice. And then I did just want to give a quick shout out too, because I've been playing on my Switch, and I did a stream. I actually downloaded the demo of this game. It's called JellyCar Worlds. And oddly enough, it's copyrighted by Disney. I don't know what they have to do with this game, because they're not the publisher and they're not the developer, but it's copyrighted by them. So I'm like, I don't know if it's
cool.
It's got kind of like a flip book style to it. So I'm like, maybe they're going to turn it into a cartoon. Who knows? But nonetheless, it's like, and kind of, I guess it'll kind of lead into what we're going to talk about, or potentially what we're going to talk about with Tears of the Kingdom. Because like I was talking about with my physics stuff, when it's in a 2D game, I can get a little more behind it. And it's not, I still will admit that there's been some frustrating stages in this game, but it's just such like a wacky, fun, like kind of think of like if you ever remember playing games like The Incredible Machine way back in the day on PC, like you're just like building like Rube Goldberg machines, sort of. This is like this, except you're driving this like car made out of jelly, and really almost everything in the game is like made out of like, and it's not actually jelly, but it's just everything's like wobbly, squishy. Like when you land on a platform, it kind of like, you know, you squish into it a little bit and then you kind of bounce off of it. And basically I'm playing again on Switch. So the right trigger makes you go forward or essentially drive to the right. Left trigger makes you go to the left. But there are times that like they throw wrinkles in, you get some different power-ups where you're like, okay, now I got sticky wheels. So I'm going to launch myself off of this spring, rotate my car around, stick to the ceiling here, and then drive around and, you know, find a secret exit. Every stage has a regular exit, which is just like a stop sign, and then a secret exit, which is a triangle. And then there's like time trial challenges, all these extra like kind of coin collectibles, like just really, really cool. Like just really clever level design, some like secret, like similar to how like some of the stuff that you guys have talked about with like Tears of the Kingdom. Like there was this one stage that was almost like a golf, like it kind of reminded me of the game Tanks, or like just like a golf stage. Like I go and there's like, I'm right next to the stop sign at the start, but then I drive over on this like pad. And as soon as I drive on it, it triggers this thing that like, then the stop sign's just sitting there on this like launch pad. And then as soon as I trigger it, it just launches it all the way across the map. And I'm like, and the camera zooms way out. There's some really cool camera stuff in the game.
Nice.
Like just the way it kind of like moves as you move through the level and zooms in and out and just kind of frames the action. But like, so, okay, it launches all the way across. I'm like, okay, I got to get all the way over there. And you kind of squeeze your way through. There's like a bunch of spinning gears around, and you just kind of like, even if a gap is like literally non-existent, like if there's like a gear spinning, you can just kind of squeeze your JellyCar through there and it'll just smash and launch out the gears at the other end. But then you're like, okay, go over to the other side. And then if you're able to touch that stop sign, that's all you need to do to end the stage. So like, but you're not able to really access it. So I hit it and I'll launch it again, and it goes all the way up to this upper tier. And I'd tried this stage quite a few times before this, but then like, for whatever reason, that the second time, like it launched me, the car, you kind of follow the stop sign's path. So like, okay, I got to launch myself up there too. And I launched myself up there. And then like, for whatever reason, you also have all these different power-ups. So I turned myself into a huge car. You kind of like get this pump that blows you up. And then like, I did it at just the right time. So like it bounced a little extra and I went over the switch that I was supposed to kind of automatically touch. And then therefore, like the stop sign was just sitting there waiting for this thing that I was supposed to trigger and like launch it to another part of the screen or level. And it was just like, oh, I guess I just drive down into this pit and beat the level like in a totally way that I wasn't intended to do it.
Nice.
And
hell yeah.
For whatever reason, I was like, this is amazing. This game is so cool. And I don't know why it's different in a 2D game, but just like, I guess, cause I don't know, it was just like a little more reflexive, but they had so many cool mechanics. There's like, they had a rocket booster is the most recent mechanic. So you're using the joystick to just kind of rotate your car clockwise or counterclockwise, and then using like a jetpack. And there's like balloons that you just kind of have to like, you know,
there's a rocket, like a balloon, a spring.
Yeah, and a bunch of Zonai. There's all these different Zonai devices.
Yeah, it's just really unique. Never seen it before in a game.
It's so true, and it is like just wacky and silly too, in the same way that you've kind of described some of the stuff with Tears of the Kingdom, John. But I don't know what it is. But I've played. There's 8 worlds in the game. I'm on almost through the 6th world. There's 7 or 8 stages in each world, but again with a secret. I've just been. At first, I was like, okay, I'm gonna look for the main exit and then the secret on every stage, and then I was like, okay, there's clearly like abilities that I haven't unlocked yet, but that will be available on this stage later in the game. Like they're kind of like, you know, faded out a little bit or whatever. Like, oh, I haven't unlocked the rocket yet, but it will be here when I come back. So I'm like, I'm just gonna keep progressing. Whatever exit you beat, you can just keep moving along. And then also the other cool thing is like the game, like the world map of each world is kind of like almost like Kirby style, like you go into different doors to enter the levels, but
nice.
Like the world map itself is almost like a tutorial that like you'll have to like kind of use your new ability to get to the next one and be like, oh, I'm probably gonna have to use that mechanic in the next stage. And just like there's like a little puzzle solving even in the overworld itself. It's just so cool. The flipbook style art, like they have these like little Pac-Man style cutscenes at the beginning of each world, and it's like done in this flipbook style. It's an awesome game. I really can't put it down. Like I've been picking it up every time I play my Switch. Almost every level I play, I save a clip of it. Like, that was so cool. I don't know. I can't say enough good things about it. I had such a fun time. I played the demo. It's only $8 too, full price. So I picked up some games recently on sale, and I was like, this one's not on sale, but $8, it almost feels like it's on sale. I'm going to buy it anyways.
That's fun.
But yeah, there's a demo too, for whatever it's worth checking out. And they did a good job of, in the demo, now having played a bunch of the game, they kind of did a good job of like cherry picking levels to put together a bespoke demo that's like lets you experience some of the later mechanics without, if it just was like the first 3 stages, you might be like, yeah, this is cool, but not enough going on. They did a good job with the demo, kind of sucking me in to want to pick it up. So, nice. And it hasn't disappointed. So really cool game. And curious to see what Disney has to do with it down the road, but yeah, why don't I kick it over to John, and I guess just a general discussion and whatnot for some more Zelda talk and to wrap things up this week.
Yeah, so earlier in the week I had like been in the Discord with these guys and was saying, it's like, maybe I should try something new, like pick up. I still have to do my resolution game. I've got other things, like,
Yep.
So many games that I haven't played. But instead, what I ended up doing was start a second file of Tears of the Kingdom.
As one does.
Madman.
As
the fact
I
that you
am
still have the draw to start one, though, is awesome.
Oh, my God. So I am going to say something that may sound completely unhinged.
Hit me.
And what I did for the second file, because it's a similar thing of what I did when I started doing multiple files of Breath of the Wild, where I was starting to, put on either limitations or start doing challenge runs. Like, it helped when they came out with DLC and they had specifically hard mode and other things that you could do. Yeah. But I would put on, like, different restrictions onto myself in Breath of the Wild to create a new gameplay experience. And for this second file in Tears of the Kingdom, what I have decided to do is do Pro HUD. So there is nothing on the screen. Like, it doesn't show you your health. It doesn't show you what ability you have currently equipped.
Mini map or
no
anything
mini
like
map,
that,
no time, no weather, nothing. So
how does it
nice.
Look when you're doing that? Because even a game like Steriden, Binary Stars had a no HUD like pro mode, and just looking at a game with nothing extra on the screen except what you're looking at in the world is really cool. I thought
it is cool,
even in Steriden.
I love it. It is
I can only imagine it's even cooler in Zelda. Yeah,
and it's like also really good at forcing you to like really interact and get your bearings in a thing, because you can't just like look down at the mini map and be like, what direction am I supposed to be heading?
What pinpoint do I want to be going to? Yeah.
Yes.
And now I'm like, even though I've played however many versions of files of Breath of the Wild and now Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm like, oh, this way out, this exit of Kakariko Village is west? I never knew that.
Definitely he's got to make you internalize things a little more. Yeah,
absolutely.
Just in the moment.
So that was one of the restrictions I put on it. And then another one I put on was kind of just as a additional difficulty one, was that I'm only going to unlock 2 levels or 2 stars of the armor enhancements. So I think max I'm only going to be able to get like 8 per thing, or 12 I think on some of the like really like defense heavy ones.
I think 8's been my max on most stuff, and I think 2 stars is all I've been able to hit so far. Yeah.
Right. And 2 also unlocks the set bonuses.
Right.
So it's not going to like wall off any like mechanics in that
buffs
way
or whatever. Yeah.
But it's just going to like limit how much defense I have on anything.
Yep.
But the main gameplay difference is what my wife has termed phone eats first mode, where in order to enact or interact with anything in the game, I have to take a photo of it first. And
it's like Metroid Prime mode. You gotta scan it.
I am just forcing myself to make every game more like Metroid Prime. I have to scan everything. But
oh man,
in general, the way that has like impacted how I play is that now I'm way more cognizant of lighting, and anytime that I'm like, okay, I need to get a shitty photo of this enemy that I've never encountered before, just so that I can actually interact with it. But then the next time I see it, I'm like, oh, it's much better out right now. I bet I can get such a better photo of it.
Better action
So I'm
shot.
constantly filling up my album and then deleting it and like getting better framed photos, or like every time I come across an enemy or an item or like a wildlife in a situation, I'm like, oh, that's sick as hell. Let me like frame myself so that I don't disturb them and like get a good photo. And like that's actually been really, really fun.
That's a whole different game in and of itself. That actually sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
And so, but then the other crux of that too is it won't register that you took a picture of said creature unless you get to a certain distance from it, right? You have to be.
So there is like an actual like index in this game. Okay, so I thought you were just mentally keeping track.
Nope. It's part of the Hyrule Compendium, and that was kind of a thing that when I was playing my first file, I was like, I haven't really been on top of this. I have no idea what I've taken a photo of already and what I haven't.
Yep,
and I'm like,
too deep into.
Yeah, I wasn't in like the habit of doing it either. So I was like, I'm not really engaging with it. So now that I'm forced to do it literally every time I see a new item or new enemy, like I'm really more engaged with it.
Oh, yeah.
And I've only played a couple things, and I've been trying also to do a little bit more sequence breaking. Like on the first island, I specifically was going out of order and like was saying, hey, can I go to ascend first if I don't have Ultra Hand? And of course you can, because this game is so meticulously crafted. And like one of the main reasons I wanted to do this was because when I went to Sky Island one of the multiple times, or like the first opening Sky Island, when I was just exploring, trying to find things that I, hadn't discovered on my first go through. And I realized that there was this passageway that let you entirely skip an entire build section. And I was like, good God, like, are these everywhere? Like, did this game, like, did they really put all of these different, alternative mechanics in like all of these places if you wanted to do like solve the problem in a different way? And the answer is absolutely yes. Like they did. Like Kevin, like that one tower that you went to that like I remember you posted as like
this. It was like the first one after I got on solid ground. And
like
just building that ramp.
And this is absolutely within hindsight of having played a file for 300 hours, like
410 to be fair. Well, I checked before we logged on. I was like, I gotta see where John's at.
And like, and I get there and I was like, oh, I can just move I don't have to build anything. I can just put a wooden platform under this one overhang and ascend up. And like, there are solutions like that everywhere.
That opening island we were talking in the Discord, you mentioned like that had to be just a totally different beast. And you said you did not beat your first file though, like you still have a few things left on the bone, or
so this is where my unhinged take may be, and that is I may abandon that first file without beating it just because of how much I'm enjoying the second file.
I don't blame you. No, do it.
Hey, but like, I leave so many games unfinished just because I'm like, I kind of want to just savor the fact that this game is so cool and just leave it lingering,
Yeah.
Hence
so I get it. I get it.
Yes.
But it seems so weird. Like I was explaining it to Laura and I was like, she's like, why are you doing this again? And I was like, I started a new file and she's like, did you beat it already? I was like, no. She's like, what are you doing?
I didn't beat it the right way, Lauren.
Slightly different things.
I didn't beat it with my self-imposed rules now that I know all the lay of the land of the game, you know?
No, I will say the camera part, though, I've kind of done effectively that same thing lately, John. In the last, 5 hours or so, I'm like, oh, shit. I can see that there's these side quests, at least, that I need to be taking pictures of these creatures. Let me just go ahead, and when I see this, weird Talus that I've never interacted with before, or at least I'm pretty sure I haven't, let me just get close enough, take a picture, even though it's going to be tense, and this thing might just beat the hell out of me. I'm going to get that picture off first before I start fighting, and that's been fun. It has been.
And I think that one of the things that I was maybe disappointed is too strong of a word, but a thing that wasn't perfectly tuned to my preferences in my first playthrough or first file was that I did feel like the difficulty petered off so quick. And I thought that game give you a really good sense of empowerment really quickly, but because of that it kind of made the last 200 hours kind of feel the same. Whereas
I've got some angles you could take if you wanted to really undercut that, John. I've got some
oh no, I'm already, but replaying it, I'm playing the same goddamn thing, even without even having beaten it, but playing it with that context of what the game is and what you can do in the game in a new from the beginning is I'm doing things completely differently because I was still playing the first file as a Breath of the Wild as opposed to playing it as Tears of the Kingdom. And so now
that's
I'm constantly I'm going through and fusing all of my strongest weapons and doing not being precious about resources. And the other
we
thing,
were talking about that too. With every game, even in just
time.
a regular Zelda game, old school top down, I'm gotta save my potions. And then I end the game with 99 fucking potions maxed out. It's just why am I saving these Deku seeds? I could have used them.
And you know
what's a mechanic in the game that I didn't engage with.
You know, it's a great way to make sure you use them is if you don't have a HUD that shows you what your health is at any given time, and then you're just fuck, I
didn't even think of that. It doesn't even show your health.
Damn. It doesn't show your health. It doesn't show what stamina, how much long you have. It does show stamina.
Okay.
So if you're climbing, it'll show your stamina.
So you have the wheel.
And if you get hit, it'll show what your health is, but that'll disappear real quick.
That's really cool, though.
It's great.
That.
It's so good.
And that's, to be fair, I love the HUD and whatever on.
Yeah, it's great.
I love all the little audio waveforms. So that's really cool visually and just useful as well.
Yes.
But that does seem cool, especially if you're already pretty familiar with the lay of the land and stuff. Yeah. But adding that extra element.
But even if you are familiar with lay of the land, I will consistently just be poking around in a place and then come to the top of a hill and be wait, I'm here? How the hell did I get here? I don't remember that.
And it's got to encourage the exploration a little bit more because, you're not just I'm heading towards my green pinpoint. That's where the next thing I want to do is, and just beelining it there. At least that's the way I would.
Actually,
I would let myself veer, but it's not having that at all. I'm assuming you can still pull up the map and leave pinpoints, but just not on a mini map. Because a lot of times I would just kind of literally just point myself in the direction of the pin I want to move towards on the mini map and just go straight. And maybe if something caught my attention, I'd veer off, but I would pretty much just be I'm going there.
Yeah. And
so this doesn't let you do that, at least without pausing and checking.
And the other habit that I got from my first playthrough has been marking things off on the map. So as soon as I encounter a boss, that's a specific one that, I'll be coming back to either farm for a specific quest or just so that I know where
the
all
resources from it or whatever.
Exactly. But I only mark them off after I've beaten them. And that's also really fun to do at early game where I'm all right, I have the worst weapons possible right now. Can I do enough damage to take down this boss? And it's thrilling. I really love the early part of these games.
It's magic. Yeah,
it's so good. And like,
even that hard mode or whatever, Heroes mode on Breath of the Wild, like it really kind of like threw that extra wrinkle into the game. And it sounds like you're kind of just putting your own extra wrinkle into Tears of the Kingdom with the like photo mode or whatever, Pokemon Snap style, you know?
And I did know, at least in the second playthrough, like, oh, where's auto build and where's the paraglider, and like I can do those
Beeline for the
right away, and then I'm like, all right, now I'm not going to do any main quest. I'm just going to go directly and like the first thing I did in the game, but like before I even got the paraglider was I was like, does the first chasm have a pool of water I jump into? And I jumped into the first chasm I found and just died immediately. Because of course there isn't. So it's just this long extended sequence of Link falling through darkness and then just face planting onto hard pavement.
Yeah.
That'll happen. Yep.
There was one point when in the little bit that I played, like when I was first coming down, I think it was the first time I like flew on one of those like bird device gliders things. And I was like, oh, flying around. And I saw this like rooftop thing and it looked like there was like a little pool on the top of the rooftop. So I was like, oh, nice. I think I can splash right down in that rooftop. And it was just like solid concrete just smashed down. I'm like, oh,
it's a mirage.
Not what I was thinking. I thought this was a fountain or something, which to be fair, I probably would have smacked the bottom of that too from the fall I was taking. But oh, man, I still. Like,
oh, no.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, even like the habits that I've gotten into like late game Tears of the Kingdom where it's like, oh, let me build my little like hover bike that I've like perfected and
the basic
like, go like zip around the entire map, and like at the beginning of the game is like, you don't have enough energy to even get that thing off the ground. Like it just barely moves you forward a little bit. As like, all right, I guess I'm running for a bit. And I was like, oh, I don't have enough stamina to run. It's like, I guess I'm getting a horse. Oh, I don't have any horses on this file, so now I have the shittiest horse now. It's like, this game rules. I fucking love it.
Yeah. You wouldn't have enough stamina to break in like the better horses anyway. Like they just fuck your ass off. So
but then you go to Melania and you can level up your horses by feeding Melania food.
I haven't. I've encountered that, but I have not done the leveling up of the horse, and I have a pretty good horse. So
that was the last thing I was doing in my first file was I was like, well, I've got all of these things. So I was like, no, I've run out of milk. And so I was farming.
Gotta go back to Lon.
There you go. John, have you found that you found like little areas in your second playthrough that you didn't encounter in your first because you weren't using the minimap and following your predestined routes that you would usually take?
A couple places where I would be like, kind of like paths that the critical path or whatever, or like the actual like going along roads. Yeah. And I would just be like, I don't need to go along this whole path. I know exactly where the destination is because I've played this game 1,000,000 times.
Yep.
And then like doing it this time, like making a beeline for this late game area that I played in the first file without any abilities. I was like, God damn, they completely changed this. And I didn't even see any of it.
Yeah.
Just
that's cool.
Wonderful.
An unbelievable sequel. Like, I cannot believe.
I'm still with all we talk about it. Like I think I mentioned, like I popped it in, then ended up playing Sparks of Hope instead. And like after we talked about it a few times, I'm still holding out hope for when I have like a better situation for like hooking up a living room TV and getting sucked into it. Like when you guys talk about it, I get pumped, but I'm totally cool if I end up just being like, hey, wasn't for me, and I'm just happy to hear other people gush about it.
I would love if every time that you are like about to play it, you just play another game that's been sitting in your backlog, and this just becomes the catalyst. Every time Kevin tries to play Tears of the Kingdom, he ends up playing a game he's been meaning to play.
You know what? Fuck this game. I'm going to play this instead. I'm play Anodyne 2 finally.
Fuck, I need to play Anodyne 2.
Dude, I booted it up the other day for a quick second, and even just the vibes in the first like 5 minutes, and I didn't play any more than that. I was just like, oh, I gotta wait till I can like stream this, or even just put headphones on and like just get absorbed into it. There's literally like a message at the beginning of the game that's like, we want you to know, get ready for this game. Like it's more than that, but they're just like, this is Anodyne 2, but you can play them in any order, but just get ready for an experience.
This
like, the way it's like, I'm like, this is amazing.
Anodyne.
Oh, that's so good. They have a new game coming out too that looks awesome. I'm really, really pumped. It's like a top-down dungeon crawler. Ooh. I don't know. It looks sweet, but like kind of 3D, but like low poly PS1 style.
Sure.
It looks awesome.
I want. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. 'Cause speaking of those resolution games, already more than halfway through the year, but I don't know any more stuff to chit chat about tonight, or good to wrap it up there, guys.
Yeah, I'm good.
That's it, baby.
Nice. Well, I'm sure we'll get into more Zelda in the coming weeks. Sure, like I said, I've been playing a bunch of stuff. I've got a bunch of stuff I've been leaving on the table. Randall, sounded like you're maybe going to dig into some more Street Fighter down the line too. So I'm sure we'll have some follow-ups on some of this stuff and some fresh stuff in the coming weeks. But as always, you can find us on the internet at pursuingpixels.com. And otherwise, we'll catch you next week. And until then, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Randall,
really good music.
Were you going to suggest an additional difficulty for me?
Oh,
with Zelda?
Oh God, no, not offhand. No. I was just
okay. I was like, oh, did I cut Randall off when he was about to like? It's like
no, that was me mocking that I didn't get the hang glider nor like the paraglider nor like half of the shit. I still don't have all the shit. From
so many of other things like I just missed, like I didn't know where to like upgrade this one thing, or like I skipped over this, like I got auto build so late.
I still need to get that. I still is that on the main path? Is that just a main quest thing? It probably is, right?
It's. Do you want me to tell you where?
Yeah, sure.
I know you sent me like all the like details.
I sent you a map. I drew you a map, but it's underneath the Great Plateau.
Yeah.
Underneath the Great Plateau. Does that mean it's in the chasm?
It's in the chasm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've done a decent amount of exploration in the chasm, but not, I've got like probably like 4 or 5 of the root things or whatever, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think that was the other thing, was that like I had finished the chasm, not finished, but I had like gotten all of the roots in the chasm like pretty early on, and I was like, I want to go back.
Yeah,
you were hyping that part of the game up. Yeah.
The chasm's cool.
Oh, it's my, like, I heard some people online complaining about it, but I'm like, whatever. This is for me. This is a special feature just for John.
Discomfort's okay, folks.
I love it.
Yeah, it's okay.
I love seeing something in the distance in pitch blackness and be like, I'm going to walk towards that and then fall down the biggest pit you've ever seen. Oh, I love it.
No, you just throw in your bright bloom seeds and then you watch it just go down into this huge chasm.
I love shooting and then it just never stops.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess I'm not going that way.
That's okay. That's the deepest.
That's cool.
I will say, now that I after unlocking everything in the chasm and seeing what the patterns are.
Yeah.
Like, then I'm like, that was a great thing to like realize,
play
but, like,
for the first time.
Yeah, it's once you know the trick, you're like,
every
gone.
time. That kind of reminds me, like every time I stream Kingdom, I did a Deadlands Kingdom stream the other day, and I was like, I always make a point to be like, just so you know, like this game, I love this game regardless, but like playing it for the first time where you're just like wandering around, and you're just like, oh, this costs? I can spend coins on this? What does this thing do? Oh, I can buy this? What does this do? Like, that experience is half the fun of like learning, oh, what does this do? Is this worth the money? Oh, I don't really want to spend my money on that. Like, that's half the fun of that game, is just learning what everything does. So that's kind of why at first I was a little bit iffy on the 80s, Kingdom 80s, but I'm like, I feel like it's differently themed enough that I'm sure some of the stuff's going to be similar. But like, I think they're going to throw some new stuff into the mix that's going to be fresh enough.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be fun to see what like is like, oh, like what will this analog be for that?
Yeah.
And
like, this is how the mounts work in this game. Like, they're not like, they're bikes now, they're not like dragons and whatever, lizard creatures and horses, unicorns and stuff, But I do still think I'll stand by. So far, I haven't played 80s, but Deadlands is the best version of Kingdom. The Bloodstained DLC.
Nice.
It's just the best, hands down. Hands down. Norselands is good too, but Deadlands is all you need.